La 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 la. Screen peeking. Bop bop bop.
Hey everyone, welcome to Screen Peeking. My name is Nick, and this is a monthly podcast where my cousin Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and anything video game related. Today is our Deathloop review, and we're obviously going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened yesterday for us as well. And yeah, it's going to be a fun show. So Zig, how have you been doing, and what have you been playing this last month?
I was doing pretty good this month, and then yesterday happened, and I was faced with the terrifying prospect of Chris Pratt as Mario, wearing the overalls, jumping through pipes. I just need to get this out of my system before we talk about literally anything else, because it's fucking... So at the Direct yesterday, in case you somehow missed it, the Illumination Mario movie, Miyamoto announced a cast for it, which is Chris Pratt as Mario. Oh, I forget who plays Peach. It's what's her name from Queen's Gambit plays Peach. And then you got Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, and Keegan Michael Key as Toad. and and fucking Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
It's awesome.
I can't say it without laughing. It's so like it just sounds like if someone's making a joke about like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this was the cast of Mario? Like Chris Pratt playing Mario, that'd be hilarious, but it's fucking real. I don't understand it.
It's unreal. It's that thing where it would, almost any of these roles you would throw it as a joke and just like they won't do it, and then everyone somehow keeps forgetting they're Nintendo and they'll do the weirdest shit that no one expects, and they'll go, yeah, we're doing this because they're cool.
He is so cool. Yeah, there's like an iconic line for every single casting pick. That's like fucking. I was saying this before the show. That's like top 5 Nintendo Direct moments. Like it's up there with like My Body Is Ready and like Reggie killing a man with a fireball and shit like that. It's like this is iconic.
Absolutely.
And there's something too about just the fact that. Just the way it's presented, whereas like here's the cast, and then I kind of like got ready to like tune my brain off for a bit, and then just like a black and white image of Chris Pratt like stoically looking into the camera with the label of Chris Pratt and then in quotes Mario.
It would have been great if they just had like a little cartoon Mario stash in front of his nose.
Like with just Chris Pratt alone, is he just gonna sound like himself, or is he gonna be doing like an Italian accent? I don't know which one's worse.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if he'll like bring his own voice to it, or
no,
I don't know. But I definitely want to see a live action version of this movie now.
Feel. I know, like Mario has such a distinct feel, even in the live action versions he's had, like in the Super Mario Bros. Superstar show, where he was still like very Italian, very plumber. But then that's just not Chris Pratt. It's so weird. And the thing is, like, Chris Pratt is just scratching the surface. Like fucking Keegan Michael Key as Toad, like Toad talking at all is bizarre. Like I cannot envision it in my head. But fucking Keegan Michael Key, it's so weird. And like a stoner Donkey Kong,
that works.
And the fact that they specifically say also like Mario will talk a lot in this movie is just really ominous to me. It's so weird. It's surreal. I fucking hate it, but I love it. Like could not express my disinterest in this movie more. Oh shit, I just dropped my Hot Wheels. I could not have expressed my disinterest in this movie more before yesterday, but like after seeing that, I'm seeing this movie like day one, man. I need to see what this is like. I'm so curious. Or like, even just a trailer. I need to see a trailer for this movie stat. It's
we gotta get. I gotta get a temperature check on it. Like, what is this movie gonna be like? You need it. All we have is based off of other stuff we can imagine, but like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, it reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, but when the Sonic movie got announced, well, first of all, hearing that there's a live action Sonic movie, you're like, that's weird. How is that gonna work? And then when there's like that very first teaser, where it's just like the ring, and then we saw Sonic's like gross photorealistic leg.
Yeah.
I think it was like just his leg and like a silhouette, and we were like,
Yeah, wasn't his
what
face
the
kind of blocked or
fuck?
whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see the full horror of like the meow scene and the whole like that first like
Yeah.
real trailer where it like really descended into madness. But that first like, what the fuck is this? I hate it. Is totally what I'm feeling right now. It's what a fucking weird time for game movies. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
I'm excited. I also like if
I'm
you start
so
thinking
excited.
about, the merchandise, and like you're gonna get this like
Oh my god.
action figure Bowser that's gonna have Jack Black's voice going rar or something. I'm gonna get you, Mario. I love it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's
Jack Black as Bowser is the one pick in there that
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what? Like, if I was like doing a serious pick of voice actors for Mario, Jack Black would be like, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like he could do that. Charlie Day as
Yep.
Luigi like almost makes sense. It makes sense in this like bizarro Mario realm that they've created here. Like hearing Charlie Day as Luigi is like, yeah, of course. I don't know, man. It's so weird. I was dying
wild.
laughing during that bit. I like immediately had to text everyone I know, like, fucking, did you hear about
Same.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I messaged my brother, my friend. I ran out and told Taylor. I was like, you gotta hear, like, hey, you gotta see this. And I show her, and of course, she's just like, okay. I don't know who half those people are. I'm like, okay, never mind.
I
But-
texted my friend Aaron about it, and he just replied in all caps. He said, "I don't know what the fuck to do," and I think that perfectly sums up my feelings as well. I don't know what to do with this information. It's insane.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about actual video games and not Chris Pratt. So I've been playing not a ton of games, but I've been playing a couple a lot. I'll kind of start with the ones I only briefly played. I was playing Mini Motorways a bit, which is an Apple Arcade game where you like sort of design roads to connect different buildings, kind of like city planning, but
Okay.
more snappy. It's like rounds are maybe 10 to 20 minutes and then it ends. And basically just when traffic gets too fucked up and people can't get to businesses, you lose and you can start over and stuff like that. It's fun. And so I was playing it on my phone.
Okay.
And then I ended up actually buying it on Steam because I discovered it's a really good game to play if I'm just sort of like, if I'm like vaguely doing something, but I want to kind of keep my mind kind of busy in the background. It's really good for that because it's really low key and it doesn't like, you don't have to be paying attention to it the whole time, which I like. So sometimes I'll be like in a call with someone, and I get bored really easily. So I'll just kind of be doing that on the side. But yeah, it's been fun.
Are you doing that now?
I'm not. I actually do need to use my brain for this podcast. But like, I have a D&D group we play each weekend, and we've been doing it online recently because COVID is pretty bad here in Oregon. And with that, a lot of the time, like I cannot just sit at my desk and do that for that long. So I've been doing that, and it's been fun. And then I also played the demo for Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars, which is a horrible title of a video game. But so that was announced at the Direct yesterday, and it is Yoko Taro's new video game, which is fucking awesome. I did not expect that. Like, I was watching the trailer. For those who are unfamiliar, he is like one of my favorite directors. He made Nier, he made Drakengard. I respect the guy a lot. I will basically play whatever he makes.
That's why I was falling
And yeah,
asleep.
Yeah. But I was watching it, and because it does not look like his style of game, it's like sort of a card-based RPG, not
Yeah.
my kind of game either. And I was watching it, and I was like, whatever. Like, I probably won't play this, but and I was like, kind of listening. I'm like, this music kind of sounds like Nier music. I like it. And then, sure enough, it is Keiichi Okabe, like the composer for all the Nier games and Drakengard games. And I was looking, I'm like, those character designs kind of look like Nier too. It's like, wouldn't that be weird if this was Yoko Taro's new game? Like, that'd be so strange. You know, like, from the minds of Nier, Yoko Taro, like, fucking what? And
Gotcha.
so, yeah, it comes out in a month, I think, which is crazy. And the demo is out now, so I played through the demo like that day. So I'm super excited for this. And despite it, yeah, like I said, it wouldn't normally be something that I'd play. But I really, really like what I've played so far. It's, I would say, from what I've played, if you are expecting to go into this and it's going to be another Nier Automata, another, something of that scale with that level of like really, really intense storytelling and stuff, I would say probably temper your expectations back a little bit. Because from what I've played, and granted, I mean, Yokotara's whole thing is subversion, so I feel like this will not be like this the entire way through, but from what I played in the demo, it is a very well written and unique from a mechanical perspective JRPG with a very JRPG story so far in a very JRPG setting. And none of that is bad. Like, I don't think his games need to be some, crazy complicated ass lore. I especially don't think that they need to tie into Nier and Drakengard, which I think a lot of people would feel differently about.
Gotcha.
But I'm excited to see him do something that seems like it's in a totally different world. It seems very different from his other games in that it doesn't have that same just sort of like melancholy right from the start that those games have. It seems more like a JRPG, and I'm super, super down with that. But I don't know. I hope people aren't too hard on him for going this way of seemingly making just like a more traditional game, because I have a feeling some people might be. But yeah, I don't know. Whichever way it comes out, I'll still play it. I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. It's also like $30. It's a lot lower budget than his other games, but I also don't think that's a bad thing. It feels like an indie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like an indie RPG. I like the demo a lot. Excited for what comes next. And then I also played a whole lot of No Man's Sky. I was telling you about this. I randomly got really into that game again. It's just a good like chill out podcast game. It's kind of like it clicks a similar thing for me as like Minecraft, where I can like play with friends and stuff like that. But I've just played Minecraft too much, so a lot of the things in it just like, I don't know, I've played it through so many times, nothing really surprises me. But having a game with a similar feel where it is constantly surprising me and I'm constantly doing new things, it's very fun and fresh. And then I played a bit of Quantum League, which I did make an episode of the Vertical Slice on, which will probably be out by the time this episode comes out, so you can check that out. And then just Deathloop, which we will talk about in a bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of games that I haven't even heard of, or like Voice of Cards, one that I wasn't interested in, but it's cool because I didn't recognize the names of the people making the game. So like you explaining, oh, Nier and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, cool, I didn't know that. But like obviously that doesn't pull me in, but it is cool because I didn't know that, and I like having information. So, and now when you like talked about the art style and stuff like that on the cards, like, oh yeah, I see that actually with a lot of the like the artwork from Nier. Yeah, I've been playing a bunch of games this week. I've been playing Dark Souls on stream, other than this last week because I took a bit of a break so I could play Deathloop because I really wanted to dive into that game and really have a good review for this episode. I've been playing Dark Souls on stream for that and just going through that game before I get to 2 and 3 and all of them heading up to Elden Ring coming out. I guess since last recording, I completed Death's Door, but I feel like I must have done that before the last time we played or talked. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. I have it written down as completed Death's Door, so maybe I didn't complete it before. I dove back into Skyrim for a little bit, and that was a nice little journey. I never played without mods, other than like way back when it first came out. So I was just like downloaded it on the Series X, and I was like, I'm just gonna play some like OG Skyrim, get some achievements, and just play around. So I did that for a bit. And that was fun. But I actually jumped back into Astro's Playroom on the PS5. I was like, you know what, I'm close to all the trophies on this game. I'm just going to complete it. That way I could just be like, okay, good. It's a little tiny game that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I'm so close to like 100% being done with it. So I was like, I just want to finish that off. So I went and did that. And that was kind of cool. One of the trophies were I think you had to get like under 7 minutes total on 8 different levels of like a speed challenge to like get through certain things. So it's like you have to be under a minute, around 50 seconds or so on each one. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was the first try for each level, and then it popped. So I was like, okay, there we go.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, the one I was worried that I was gonna get stuck on is one where you have to like scroll on the touchpad to make the ball roll, and you have to like go across all these like zigzagging platforms. Think like Super Monkey Ball almost, without, but they don't have no bumpers or no edges, and you're like flying around and you're like swiping on this touchpad with your pointer finger, and it's just kind of hard to like slow down, like go backtrack and like try to get around a corner and stuff when you're doing that. I messed that one up a lot. That one I had a lot of tough time with, but the first time I actually completed it was the only time I had to complete it, so that was nice.
Nice.
And then I've just been playing some Neo, actually playing online with my brother, just trying to
nice.
play with Jesse, and like he's super into Neo too, so I was like, hey, well, let's play the first one because we both have the first one on Epic Game Store for free. I think it was one of the games that at one point, so we're like, let's just play that together, give it a shot. And man, that game's rough. That's hard. That's a hard game, but it's a good time.
Have you played Neo before?
Yeah, I did. I have it on the PS4, just the OG version without any DLC or anything. And I got it. I don't know, like it's not like insanely hard to get past level 100 as your character. But I got to like level 40, so it's like a chunk of the game. But I honestly don't play it enough or know enough about it to know whether that's like early game or still or mid game or what.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, of course, Deathloop. So maybe we should just start talking about Deathloop.
Yeah, let's jump in. Where do we want to start off with this? I'll start off by saying I am 10 hours in, so I haven't beat it, but I feel like I'm a pretty good chunk.
Yeah.
And I really like it so far. I think I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I'm granted if I beat it. I wouldn't say it's like a game of the year candidate for me, but I still think it's a really, really solid like 8 or 9 out of 10. I think that like the only reason it's not in like my top 5 like game of the year shortlist is because this year's been fucking batshit insane in terms of like like favorite games of all time for me. So but yeah, I really, really liked it. Not liked, I am liking it. I will probably finish it. I have not slowed down playing it and then the last couple days when I haven't been able to. But yeah, it's quite good. So you have, I guess base level, what do you think of it?
For me, I love this game. I did platinum it. I completely beat it. I've did a full loop, killing all 8 people a second time for fun, just to like try a different ending. And like I've done everything in that game, uninstalled it, and I'm like, I'm done with you for now. I'll come back if there's DLC. I played it like every evening and every moment I had over the last week and a bit. So I've loved the game a lot. I don't know if it would even make my top 50 or where it would land in total. I don't like it more than Dishonored 2, but I really like this game this year, and it's definitely currently my game of the year for this year. So that's kind of like, take that as it is. Like it's my favorite game I've played this year, and we'll see how that stands after Halo and a couple other things come out. But yeah.
So...
we don't have to talk about anything like all these in categories. I just wanted to kind of talk about everything and just kind of make sure we had like something to talk about for like I was wanting to discuss a few things like the gameplay loop and visual style and whatnot. And so I definitely think we can just kind of talk about anything and everything all at once, but just wanted to make sure we kind of thought about all those things.
So the biggest thing for me, I think that's actually been really driving me with it, is the story and the characters. Especially, there's just so much charm in this game. Like right off the bat, Colt is so likable, and Juliana too is also, as somebody who's kind of a psychopath, is also just extremely likable. And like the chemistry between the two is really good. I have a hard time thinking of characters with better chemistry in recent memory in games, where like their voice acting is just so good and they bounce off each other so well. I don't know, and they both just feel like such unique protagonists too, where like Colt as being kind of like the video game tough guy protagonist, but also it's just even like small things, like when you blow yourself up, instead of doing sort of like a sound effect, like it just does like kind of like a high-pitched yelp, which I really enjoy. Like it just little things like that kind of humanize it, where he is like this badass super killer guy, take down a shit ton of dudes without dying, but also is just so like grounded, and in the beginning, like the way he's just sort of like disoriented and like mumbling about and shit. It's just, it makes him feel a lot more like a real person, and like a really really likable real person at that. I don't know. I think just the writing and the voice acting is just really really fucking top notch with this.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that. I mean, when you play as a character, like as Cole, and you're just going through and you have your different, like, every time you start a level or restart a loop, basically every time you start one of the 4 districts in this game, usually you have like a bit of like back and forth between Juliana and Colt, and I think that is like that was one of my favorite parts. I'm like, okay, new level, let's see what they're gonna say, what's gonna happen. And sometimes it's like an actual breadcrumb of like, oh, I think I'm kind of getting a bit more of what's happening here, and I kind of know a bit more about Juliana, or I'm learning a little bit more about Cole. Okay, they didn't quite give it to me, but I think I'm understanding what they're putting down here.
Yeah, they like drop little pieces of like backstory between them or something, because Juliana knows a whole lot more than you do throughout the whole game, which I really really like, where she tells you bits of things, but also is kind of holding back and like very obviously fucking with you with different stuff. And they have that great dynamic too, where you can tell, like, I don't even think if she directly says it, but it's very, you know, heavily stated that they dated at one point. Something happened and she fucking hates you with just like a fiery passion, which is such a cool setup, where she, you know, hates you and will gladly kill you and fuck with you for like basically infinity. And then trying to figure out, like, yeah, in those conversations, why she hates you so much, like what you did, because you have no memory of any of that. It sets up a really cool dynamic.
It does, and you definitely have to finish the game though, just to even get those answers, right? Like, it's definitely worth it. I found that to be quite a twist and quite shocking, but I did have a good time with it. I found the story ended a little too abruptly and didn't feel that satisfying. I found this like just overall like arcing, like what is going on with this world, that kind of thing. I found it to be like, by the time you get to the end, you do understand it. Like, it doesn't, I don't think it leaves much off the table where you're like, oh, well, I wish they answered this or anything like that. It's just kind of, I think I felt like I knew most of the answers by the time it ended. And so then there wasn't really anything else to go over once it ended. And then for me and my ending, it didn't really give a, or at least unless I misunderstood something, for my ending, it did not seem like there was a reason to like, because you can keep playing the game and you're like, well, why am I still doing these loops? Like, this doesn't make sense for my ending. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. I don't know why this is happening. I kind of like it in, like, say, like a roguelike or whatever. Like, there's usually reasons why things will continue. Even Hades, like, there's like a reason why you are still, even after you beat the game and you get to what's the character you play as in Hades? I forget his name. Anyways, when you get to his mom, when you get to his mom though, that's like beating the game, but then you like, there's a story reason why you keep playing through, and I kind of liked that a lot. So I think that would have been really useful to have in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also definitely want to talk about the art, because this game looks just jaw-dropping. Like, it is so good looking, kind of in a way that I personally wish more AAA games would lean into, where it is that perfect line between stylized and realism, where it definitely still, like, the character models look like real people, the environments look very very real and good, but it has such a cartoon flair to it that I really like, where just like the animations and the colors and everything, and the kind of lack of detail that some things have, really brings it together. And it just all the environments are so charismatic.
Yeah, the specifically up dam I really really like, in the city, and like getting to with how much I've played, I should know all these characters' names by now. But the dude who's like Alexis, who's like has his party going on, and it's all like alpha male and alpha wolf, I mean, and all that stuff. And his what was it? His username on one of the computers is like Alpha Wolf 69 or something like that. And
Yeah.
you just get a vibe of like what the character's like, and then like but the decorations, the way like all the big masks and like the colorful like big red like wolf head up on the wall, it just looks super super cool. And I know you can't see Zig right now, but I have gameplay right now of uh Carl's Bay, I think it's called, where there's like a couple of places for like planes to be worked on, and it's kind of like down by the water and stuff. And so I'm kind of like just showing that in the background right now, just playing through that and getting invaded by Juliana and a few other things. But yeah, the environments do feel very different, and that's something I really really appreciated. That you have your 4 districts, right? You have Updam, you have Carl's Bay, you have two other ones that I can't remember and I should have written down.
Fristad and the Complex.
Right, the complex, yeah, and yeah, the complex one is one that like stuck in my head. I should have remembered that one. Anyways, the very very distinct though, very different, and of course 4 times a day. For those who don't know, there are 4 times a day. There's morning, noon, afternoon, and evening, I believe, and basically it's just each of those areas are different, but mostly the same. Like you kind of know how to get from A to B, but there might be a new open window or some new enemies in a different location now. Obviously, it's a different lighting, and you'll see the party or the day progressing in terms of like there's more graffiti on the walls now, and certain characters aren't where they used to be. And I think that's fun because I know the first time I experienced it for me, it was being on a wall, seeing a couple guys with pickaxes, and they're hitting this wall, and I'm just sitting there watching them, and they're talking, and then they're talking about how like they really want to get through this wall because they want to get to something, and then you get a little note on the bottom of your screen saying like, hey, you should come back later, they're digging a hole, and like there's probably something worth checking out in there. And so then later in the day, going back and checking out that spot and just seeing it's kind of like a shortcut to a different thing. I didn't really find any like items like worth grabbing, but I thought it was cool, and I was like, oh, that's neat. And then of course there's another level where you have the tide, and the tide will go up and down based on the time of day, and I think that was really cool as well.
Yeah, I think I do like the progression of the world. I think they do a good job with that. Personally, I think I thought that the time loop mechanic in the game personally was a bit underutilized, where like I was trying to think of like if this game didn't have a time loop in it, if the game was just you're going through missions or whatever, narratively obviously it'd be totally different, but mechanically I actually don't know how different it would be, because and I think a lot of it is just the mission structure, where it has fairly traditional missions, I would say, in just they're called leads, where you go through, it gives you a waypoint. You go to the waypoint, you do something, you go to the next waypoint. And I think that's totally fine. But I think in the context of the time loop, I don't know. I didn't find myself particularly limited by the loop ever, and I definitely didn't feel myself, I mean, with the exception of the obvious, like, you know, you need to utilize the 4 different time periods to do the right thing, but because there is 0 timer with any of those, like the loop itself doesn't actually feel like a threat. It's more just a mechanic in the puzzle, I guess, which is probably what they're going for. I
don't think they're going for the Zelda Majora's Mask impending doom effect.
But I don't know, I guess. And I don't know if I necessarily need it to be like Majora's Mask with a timer, but I just personally, when I was like, as I'm playing the game, I just feel like the time loop could have been used better mechanically. I think where it is used really well, I think the time loop for me fixes a lot of issues that I've had with previous Arcane games in terms of just my personal enjoyment, where a lot of immersive sims generally have this air of, I really feel like I don't want to fuck up, because if I do fuck up, and if I feel like I'm playing the wrong way, I feel like that's going to really screw me over later. Where, you know, in like both Dishonored games, they have some sort of penalty for killing people, which I don't know. Like if I mess up and start killing people, like, I don't know. It was always annoying to me to have that issue here. But with Deathloop, where it is the time loop and you have all the freedom of a time loop, so you can kill as many people as you want. It doesn't matter they're going to be alive the next day.
Yeah.
That like I thought that was really freeing and did allow for more of what Arcane is known for with experimentation and really actually just trying different things, not just stealthing it the whole way through because that is the best strategy. Like if something went bad and I had to blast my way through a situation, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Now I know what happened this time. Next time I go through, I'm going to try something different and I want to see how that works. Even though I made it through just fine blasting my way through, I'm like, I feel like that could have been cooler. That could have been like I lost a life there. I could totally go through that in a more efficient way. And that is the piece of time loop that I think worked really well for me.
Yeah, and yeah, just like so, kind of like because of what you're talking about, I was really having a lot of fun just making mental notes, and of course the game helps you out a ton with like all the little things, all the things you learn. The game keeps track of it all. So for those who are like worried about like, oh, what if I found this code and I don't remember what the numbers were, the game keeps track of that just like it does in Dishonored. But something that like I was thinking when I was playing, kind of along the lines of what you were talking about, is like I wish there was a penalty for killing people, and I wish there was a little bit more reason to be stealthy if you wanted to be. But like I understand where they're going, and I think it's cool that it's more action focused. But some areas like Alexis's party in Updam, like that place, did you like try shooting people or go into there yet or like do anything there?
That place is yeah. I've killed Alexis.
There's so many people, right?
That place is you. I tried going there guns blazing once, I think, and I accidentally did it a second time, and yeah, you just get bodied by people there pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's one of the I think the first one that I got, and it was lucky that I shot the person. I wasn't even like I was just trying to kill somebody, and I ended up being him. And I was like, oh damn, that's sweet. But then yeah, I just got annihilated right after. So that was like way back when I had no powers, and I was just like exploring one of the first times I was exploring. And I really thought like a thing that could be interesting for me, and not everyone would like this, but something I thought would be kind of cool is if like even though you have unlimited time, if you're being stealthy, because that's going to take longer, maybe being a little bit more action focused, every kill you get progresses that part of the day, and eventually it will just force that day to go forward. And so like maybe it like makes the loop unstable a bit, and then like so the more murders you commit really quickly, you're eventually gonna like collapse it, and then it's like maybe you push forward to the next time of day, and then you just have to choose whether you're going back. So then it kind of encourage you to be, I gotta kill a couple guys right here real quick, but I still can like hold off for a second. Maybe it's all within a certain amount of time, not an actual kill counter. I was thinking in my head when I was playing, I was like that could be really fun, having like a reason to not just go in guns blazing, but you could still kill people,
Yeah, I mean personally I think the reason it gives you to not go in guns blazing is just that it's like, I would say it's easier to do stealth in this game. Like if you're going in guns blazing intentionally, you are kind of giving yourself an extra challenge there in that regard, where almost every time, like I didn't find the stealth actually to be terribly difficult in this game, especially when you have the combo of the invisibility and blink. You can kind of just get wherever you want without people seeing you. It's not too much of an issue, and you can take them out pretty quietly too, fairly easily. But I don't know. I guess with the immersive sim genre, I think often falls too much into just being stealth games, and so I really like that this game, I wouldn't even say it's action focused either. I think more than most immersive sims, I would say this one genuinely is, every strategy is viable. Like if you're good at going in action, we're not going to say no. And in a lot of games, I really like, and we're going in action, like guns blazing is fun. It's still kind of like either pushes back a little bit too hard or gives you an actual penalty for it. Like that's part of why I like Metal Gear Solid 5 so much, is because like the ranking system in that game and everything, despite it being a Metal Gear Solid game, it is actually technically a stealth game. Going in guns blazing, like in killing people, has no effect on your score in that game. Like the only thing that really has an effect is time. And so going in guns blazing is usually slower than just stealthing past people. But if you're good, it's totally fine, and the action is fun in that game. And I think that's kind of how I feel here as well, where I like that it does genuinely give you total freedom on how to do things.
Yeah, I actually really liked that they pushed more into the combat side of things than Dishonored. I like that you can go either way, and if you have Havoc, of course, you can go guns blazing a lot more,
God, yes.
and having a lot more fun with it. And some of the modifiers on there, like getting your whatever, I don't know if it's magic or whatever the hell the blue meter is, going up every time you're doing damage, like that feels so good. Mix that with like a pair of SMGs that give you health with damage, and you're just like going on forever. But I like more less than like I like being stealthy, but also just being aggressive. So you're like, teleport behind them, shoot them in the head, teleport behind that guy, stab his neck. Which, by the way, those animations are fantastic. Grab the person by the chin, pull it back, snap, and it just like the person's head's turned around looking at you. Fantastic, love it. And that kick.
Great, yeah.
Can we talk about the kick? Have you used it much?
It's fucking amazing. I love a good kick in video games. It's like the kick is like half the reason why I love Cruelty Squad so much. And this like Cruelty Squad is like a comically massive kick, and the fact that this is a fairly grounded game and has close to as good of a kick as in that game is fucking awesome. Like it is stiff. I love it.
Donkey's video is fantastic, showing off that kick. That's awesome.
But even just like when you're not fucking around with it, like just in combat, being able to kick someone like a good ways away from you, it's such a cool tool. And one of those like great immersive sim things too, where you know you could use it just in combat, but there's so many things you can do with it. Like you can kick a wall and enemies always hear it, so it's kind of like knock move in Metal Gear Solid games where you can you know, just like kick, they'll come over to you and then you can break their neck or whatever to like lure people.
Yeah.
You can kick objects, you can kick people into other people, you can kick someone to block shots from another gun. Like there's just so much potential for having the ability to move something with high force, and they lean into that. I love it.
Yep. Yeah. So again, I just want to like, for the people who don't know much about this game somehow, the whole point of this game is to kill 8 visionaries. They all have something to do with the time loop on this island, Black Reef, and you're just trying to kill all of them in one day. And once you kill them all in one day, it's supposed to break the loop. And so that's kind of what you're trying to do. And so like the game, it's impossible to do this on your first try and your first couple tries. And so the game is still linear in terms of you have a very clear path of go here, do this thing, then go here, do this thing. But the things you're doing in those areas, the game does let you kind of approach it and tackle that objective however you want. Do you want to kill people? Do you not? But also, do you want to go this left or do you want to go right? Do you want to explore a bit? Like, because I don't know about you, Zig, but for me, my first 1 or 2, like just parts of the day took so long because I just wanted to explore everything. You have no powers, you're a little bit nervous, you're peeking around every corner, you're like, are there guys here? Can you open this door? Are there people upstairs? I have like one machine gun that's like the most basic first gun you got or whatever. I'm just like a little bit like timid going through, and then so you're taking a long time just to go through if you want, and you can just explore, or you can just go get your objective, run back, go to the exit, and then go to the next part of the day and see what you have to do now. And I just think that game design is interesting. I thought it was fun because you can easily look back at a menu and know what you need to do if you ever spent hours just exploring and just checking out other things, trying new moves or trying out powers or just trying to kill Juliana, getting her slabs or her upgrades. And you're like, I'm just going to do these things. And you're like, wait, what was I supposed to do again? What time of day am I supposed to be at? You can just go back to your menu. And I feel like the game is very, very helpful in that way. So I thought that was nice. What did you think?
I think I've definitely heard some people refer to the way like the mission structure and objectives of the game as handholdy. I don't think that's the case at all. I think
I agree with you.
I really like how it just gives you like an orange diamond on the screen that is the exact location you need to be, but it gives you no help in terms of navigating to get there or how to, do things to get there or any of that. And oftentimes that's kind of a broad location too. Like it'll just give you a building and there's a lot of shit inside that building. And so a lot of the like investigating and that sort of thing is you doing that. It just, I don't know. I don't think it's handholdy to take away the frustrating bits of this type of game where, one of my favorite games, Outer Wilds, the biggest piece of criticism I have for it is that while it often has really strong signposting, it sucks when you don't know what you're supposed to do, and that sucks in any game, but especially these types of more investigative games, where you're supposed to do something, you kind of know what it is, but you don't know where at all you're supposed to go. You don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, that just sucks. And so I like it gives you just the little bits of information you need, but definitely not too much. Just the little bits of crumbles. And yeah, I think that the whole log system, you kind of touched on this in terms of in the menu where you have your leads and your info and stuff like that. I think it's organized really well, where and that's sort of like little timeline-esque things of everything you've learned about a certain person or a certain lead or how to kill them or how to acquire this. I like how it's all just laid out in front of you. Like, you don't need to get a pen and paper and take notes that way, or just have superstar memory. It takes away the frustration at this genre. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so for me, like, I don't think that a main objective, like completing a game, shouldn't be something you need to figure out how to do. In my opinion, it shouldn't be like, well, I'm starting this game up, and now what do I do in order to continue playing this? Like, to move further and then complete the game. Like, that should be pretty clear and explained to the player. And then when you have extra stuff to do and more content, more little side things, like, make that something people can discover. That's fun. That's fun to discover those things into, like, the what's his name? I think it's Charlie. He has all his little games, and he loves games. He has games in like all 4 of the districts. Like, there's something you can do, and they're like really tough challenges. And because there's a trophy for like doing them all, I had to look up how to, like, not how to do them, but like how to get to each one and what they even were, what you're supposed to do. And there's like some really cool creative games, and I was like, that's cool. I was too stupid to figure out there's a mannequin one in Carl's Bay, and the sign kind of shows you exactly what you need to do, but I was too stupid to realize. So I did look that one up, but I was like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here, and it's so obvious, and I'm just an idiot. But having those things, like, that's this little side quest, little side objective thing that you could just discover and figure out and do all on your own. The game does not tell you, does not walk you through it. And I thought, like, that's the stuff that I would be upset if they kind of held my hand, like, oh, this mannequin wants this thing, so here's where you can get it. Instead, you have to actually put 2 and 2 together and go, okay, so like there's this guy, there's this this vendor that you can like kind of get an item like ordered to a location. It'll happen in a later part of the day. So if I want this item, I need to plan ahead and like do these things, and you put it all together, and it's really, really rewarding.
Yeah, I think the side content in this game is really strong. Like, I had a really cool moment. I guess kind of spoilers for side content if you care too much about that. But where I went and, like, there's just kind of a cool looking cave. I'm like, oh, I wonder what could be in here, because there's a lot of cool shit hidden in caves. And there was just like a guy in there behind glass who's like, I fucking hate you, Colt. Like, you did some horrible shit to me. And then he starts like he locks all the doors and just starts gassing you out in the room. You're like, oh god, like trying to figure out how to get out, like looking at panels and shit.
I don't think I
don't
saw
know if
that.
you experienced that. Yeah, it is crazy. And I died. I never actually figured that puzzle out, because I died and then got rewinded out of it. But it's like, what the fuck just happened? And like, it definitely seems like that's a solvable thing you can do. I haven't figured out. I think you have to do stuff in like, earlier in the loop, whatever, like traditional, or not traditional, but like very Deathloop puzzle solving.
Maybe you go in invisible.
But yeah,
maybe that's the way.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But it was cool. Like, just these cool, crazy out-of-pocket moments. There's another one. There's like a secret like spy base and shit like that you can find. It's so cool. Yeah. And then the fact that you hadn't seen that one also kind of, like, there's just so much of it, and they're all kind of so well hidden. But not like not impossible to find. But if you're looking around, you'll see them. I don't know. It was just really cool.
But yeah, also with like times a day, it can be so easy to miss something, right? That's totally, the other cool thing. I guess the other part I didn't touch on yet about this game is like, so you do start the game with nothing other than a pistol, and then because like kind of the tutorial beginning part, they give you a gun, but you really wake up on the beach. Like, Colt wakes up on the beach with nothing, and you slowly progress to where you can absorb residium, which is like your currency. You can absorb it from any weird looking flickering colorful object in the world that's kind of from a different loop or something like that. It's got some time and space weirdness going on. And you can absorb it, you get some currency, and then when you exit a level, you can also get it from killing Juliana and absorbing her essence. And if you die, you lose it, and it's in your essence, kind of floating as like a hologram-looking, flickering version of like your past self. And you go and absorb that, you can get it back, kind of like almost like Souls, where like in Dark Souls, where like you die, you can go back, pick up your stuff, and then when you exit the level or you're starting a new day, you can spend that currency on weapons that you currently are holding, or your slabs, which are your abilities that you're currently holding, or trinkets, which are like passive buffs to your character, or attachments for your, or like bonuses for your weapons, or even bonuses for like upgrades for your slabs, your abilities. So you can really spend it on all kinds of ways to upgrade coal, and then basically those, once you purchase those items or those upgrades with Residium, you keep it for all future loops unless you break it down into Residium again. So that's kind of the way to keep progress, or like keep items that you like.
System,
yeah. And I don't know about using, but for me, like I found I had almost, like I had all the stuff I wanted, and I also had all the powers and all the upgrades for them really quick, really early. Because when you kill Juliana, there's a chance she drops like 2 slabs or 2 slab upgrades at a time, and that for me happened a lot. And that was like, for me, that was just like, wow, I got 2 upgrades, this is fantastic. And I think it's guaranteed, I can't remember, but I feel like it was guaranteed that you got new ones every time you got them until you obtained them all. Then you just start getting repeats. What about you?
Yeah, I am quickly approaching that point. I haven't gotten there yet. But at this point, I kind of have a loadout that I like. I mean, I need to get more upgrades for the slabs that I use, but like my weapons, I don't feel hindered by my lack of anything at this point. But that said, I really, really like this progression system, because I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a try it before you buy it sort of thing, where you're using something in your loop, and if you're like, damn, I really like using this, you can do it. And other times I'll pick something up, be like, yeah, I'll try it, and by the end of the loop, I'm like, it's just not worth the Residium, and I'll kind of, let it float by or whatever. Certain weapons, certain abilities, even like, there was one loop where I had a chance to get like a slab, like a whole ability, and I'm like, I only use this like once. I'd rather, spend it on this cool weapon that I got instead. And I really like that. Like, it's not the traditional sort of, upgrade tree where you're just kind of getting shit for the sake of getting shit. Every time you get something, it's meaningful. Like, every ability and everything you unlock, it's not part of a tree. It's not something you're like, that might be useful, and then you never use it. It's all stuff you care about. I think that's awesome.
The upgrades for the slabs are really fun and actually make you like think about which 2 you want to use, because I think each slab has, I think, 4 upgrades. It's like 3 or 4, and it's like, which 2 do you want to put together? So like for me, and you might be different, but for me, I with the I want to call it blink because that's what it's called in Dishonored, but the teleport, that one, like I liked putting on the upgrade so that it reaches further, and it can reach a little bit higher up if you're looking above yourself. And also the one where you can use it once in the air, that'll pause your fall and then let you go again. So even if you're on the ground, you can launch yourself over to a spot in the air, then quickly reuse it, and then you're floating in the air for a moment and then kind of reach a further point. I've found those 2 are really, really nice to use there. What was your go-to slabs? Like, what ones are you using all the time?
I have not unequipped the invisibility one since I got it.
Oh, interesting.
It's very powerful. Because I don't know, I find even in combat, like, people will come in after me and I can just go invisible, turn a corner, get behind them, and then shoot them and stuff like that. Like, just for sort of tactical, like, repositioning. And then obviously in stealth, it's very, very nice. And then I've kind of been switching between, the blink ability and the, I forget what it's called. The one where you, like, tie 3 people together and then
Nexus.
Out, they all go down. Nexus, yeah. I've been using that one a fair bit too. I just kind of been alternating between Nexus and Blink depending on what I'm doing. Whether it's whether I'm trying to explore more or just, kind of get through a group of enemies. But both of those I think are very fun, very powerful.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying, or pretty much exclusively, one of the first weapons I got and I infused was purple rarity, like whatever SMG that had a modifier on it to be silenced. And I'm in the footage I'm playing, I'm using it all the time. And like that's just my favorite gun. Just like, man, it's so easy to get headshots. It's so quick, and if you miss, you got a lot of bullets. Like it's just it feels a little bit overpowered in my opinion, or maybe more than a little bit.
No, I agree. I also did not unequip that like since the moment I got it.
Yeah, the only thing that made me the only other things I've used other than that is like I do like the single shot rifle when I want to use it, or a legendary weapon that I won't spoil, but you know it is of the shotgun variety, but it can be used almost like a rifle as well if you have the right mods on it. And I found that really fun because it was kind of like a 2 weapons in one, and it has like a switching mode, and I thought that was really, really cool. So
pretty sick.
The way to get it is pretty challenging though, but it was definitely worth it. What else we talk about here? I definitely want to mention that this was Arcane Leon, or however you say that name, because there's Arcane Austin and Leon, and basically this one, they made Deathloop or Dishonored 2 before, I mean, is what I was going to say. So that's the studio that made Dishonored. This is the studio that made Dishonored 2 before, and Arcane Austin is developing Redfall, and they previously created Prey. And I just thought that was interesting when I was looking into it.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about just kind of Arcane as a studio and its influence over this as well, because something that I've noticed, definitely not just with this game, but I think often you do get these studios like Arcane that are very highly regarded for good reason, but they definitely have a type. Like there is a certain genre of game that they make, and something that I feel like happens a lot with those studios is instead of people necessarily like judging a game based on just how good it is, they often judge the game based on how well it adheres to that studio's formula, which I find kind of weird. Like with a lot of the criticism around Arcane that's a fucking huge daddy long leg. A lot of criticism that I've seen around it is less talking about like, oh, this game's really good, and more just like, yeah, this game is Dishonored at time loop, and that's really awesome. And a lot of the criticism I've seen is like, oh, I don't like that this isn't as much like Dishonored as I would like it to be. I've said like 5 times that sentence, whatever. Where yeah, a lot of that criticism is just like, oh, this doesn't feel Arcane enough. This doesn't feel like Dishonored enough. This doesn't feel like Prey enough. And I think, I don't know, I really disagree with that kind of criticism. I mean, granted, I am not the Arcane guy. I've tried a couple of their games. I've never finished them.
Right.
But like, I enjoy this genre, and I kind of understand where people are coming from, where, you know, if you enjoy a certain type of game and the studio makes that game, makes another one, you want it to be like the previous one. But I don't know. I think like Deathloop definitely is something different from what I've played of Dishonored and what I played from Prey, where like kind of like we were talking about earlier, it allows for a lot more action, and also things like just the way it does waypoints. Like there's a lot less frustration, there's a lot less punishment in it. And a lot of the times when I hear people talking about it, they are talking about like, oh, it's not like Dishonored, and I don't like that. Or like it feels right. Like I heard someone use the term like Arcane light to describe it, because it's like an Arcane game, but it holds your hand more. And I don't know, I think that's just
weird.
Not a it's not a great way of talking about it. I think it is better to judge it as a game on its own merits. Like I said, it happens with a lot of studios too. I've been thinking about it a lot more with this because of a lot of the discussion I've been seeing around it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that, but I could totally see that being said. I don't agree with those comments either, because like this is, in my opinion, very Arcane, and regardless of that, it is a fantastic game. And I like for me, just to touch on, like for me, I was saying that this is my game of the year so far, right? And for me, a game of the year needs to push the industry forward in my eyes as something that's like kind of pushing people to think outside the box, do something a little different, not just like a polished game, more polished than anything else or whatever. I just actually like to see something new and something different. And for me, this game, you've seen like my whole up and down with this game of like leading up to launch of like, am I interested in this? I don't know if I'm interested in it. I think I am. I like Arcane, and but I don't know what this game is. I don't understand it. And then playing it and me going like, it's got its hooks in me right away. I can't put it down. I'm having so much fun with it. But not only that, the way that they're telling the story, the way that they're doing like the levels, or the way they're letting you go to where you want to go. Very choose your own adventure, but also still having a linear path. And I thought that was like just that part alone is very, very unique, and you don't have that very often. It's either you are going here and there's not much option. And I think that the arcane part of this that I think still holds true to arcane is just that openness of, okay, here's your little orange objective, get here however you want to. Depending on what you've done in the past, you might have different tools and abilities to get there, so that your playthrough could be totally different than mine. And I think that stuff is super, super fun, really powerful. And I think that like Prey, Dishonored, this game are all very similar, but also very different from each other. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that Redfall will be very interesting to see when they finally show that game, and that it's a 4-player co-op using abilities and weapons kind of like this, and you're fighting vampires or whatever. So like, what is that game going to be like, right? I'm very curious to see what that's like. But yeah, I know I just talked a bunch right now, but I kind of just want to dive into another part that one of my negatives for this game. And it's not a big one. Like I feel like the aiming and the shooting in this game was passable. I don't think it was bad, but I definitely felt like now that they're diving more into the action, and they're starting to use guns more, and I potentially with Redfall in the future, I don't know how much that'll be focusing on weapons, but I imagine quite a bit more than even this. I hope that they just can continue to improve more on like the animations and the feel of using weapons, because I feel like using powers are so fun and feel really good. But I do feel like I would like to see the weapon side of things be more on the tier of even Borderlands 3. I'm not gonna say, I was gonna say Destiny, of course, but like, you know, Borderlands 3 I feel like feels really snappy, really good. I really like a lot of that the feel of it. I don't know how else to explain it, but when you're running around, you're hopping, you're aiming in the air, and you're shooting and whatever, I feel like this game is very auto aim, snap to the head, and you know, you get your one shot, perfect, continue on. But I think if you're going in the action direction, they have some room for improvement, and I would like to see that. So that's all.
Personally, I kind of disagree. Granted, I am playing on my
Shocker
on my PC.
Okay.
So I like very different experiences because FPS are a totally different controller and mouse and keyboard. But for me, playing with that, I really liked how this game felt from a shooter standpoint, where despite shooting your way out of situations, often actually being like a worse or a harder way to do things, I often found myself doing it just because I thought the action was so fun. And like for me, like what you're talking about, the animations and just the general feel of it, especially like the reload and shooting animations, I thought were awesome in this game.
The animations are great. It's more the feel of it. Anyways,
it's just that like hard to describe feel, and I think actually a lot of that could be mouse and keyboard versus controller, because some games do not. Making a game feel good on a controller is really fucking hard. Some games do it really well, like Borderlands and Destiny are such good examples. Other games really, really don't. This could be one of those. Something else I want to touch on with the PC experience. This game, last I checked, was being review bombed on PC because a lot of people were having like really bad stuttering issues. I think mostly having to do with the anti-cheat and like anti-piracy software that's in the game. I think it was really kind of doing it dirty. Personally, I have not had any of those issues. I haven't had any crashes or stuttering or anything, and I think I might just be really lucky with that.
Right.
Because it would seem most people are not having that experience. But yeah, just want to briefly say that.
Yeah, a third game that I feel feels better with shooting than this game is Halo Infinite. When I played the flight, and that game's not even out yet, but I definitely like that is my one complaint, and it's not even a complaint. Like I said, I think it's passable. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad, but I do think there's room for improvement, and I think it could feel better if they do make a Deathloop 2. That's what I would be looking for, not just a copy and paste of this. That's what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah. And especially going into Redfall, which looks a lot more like an action game than
Yeah.
any of their previous games. Yeah, I do think it could be a little bit better. Personally, I thought it was really fun, but I think if it was something like Redfall, where you have enemies come from all sides, shit like that,
hmm
I think I would find myself frustrated with the controls just a little bit. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I also want to talk about the PS5 controller because I got to try out the haptic feedback and stuff, and so basically it does what you think. It has more resistance on the triggers, and the haptic feedback, happens from a lot of different interactions with doors and kicking and whatnot. But the only one that I would say is not as obvious, but it is nice, is just your footsteps, left and right side of the controller. You can just feel like little vibrations with every one of your footsteps as you're running. It's just a little nice thing, but I definitely don't think you're missing anything by not having it. It's nothing crazy, and I don't know the triggers. The positive I'll say on this is that the triggers do not have as much resistance as, say, Resident Evil 8 did when I was playing that game, where it was almost annoying, where you'd think you're going to pull the trigger and then it would just stop, and you're like, oh, damn, I didn't shoot, because I just, like, I'm not used to that resistance and having to really cram my finger down on this thing. This had, like, just the right amount, I feel, of tension, so I actually didn't turn it off the whole time I played. I left it on. I found that nice. It sometimes helped me with little moments where you're like, should I shoot that guy in the head? I don't know if someone's going to hear that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Okay, I'm going to go do it. And you go to pull the trigger, and then someone walks around the corner also, and you're like, oh, you kind of wait, you hope you didn't press it. It helps with those moments. I'll say that's the little bit of an advantage I get there.
hell yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I like the subtle little footsteps. I think that's smart. Is it like only when you're sprinting or always?
No, walking, crouching, everything. It is lighter when you're crouching, right? And you're just kind of getting it's very mild too. It's not like a regular rumble. Like, it definitely uses like the feature.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I can see that being nice. Like if you're doing stealth or whatever, just kind of immersing you in feeling quiet or feeling loud when you're playing.
What do you think of the music in this game, in the audio? I
music's
so the
fucking
music,
good, dude.
I've been listening to it every
getting
morning
in
at work.
combat, Yeah, getting into combat, having just that kind of just like sort of, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, just like raucous, sort of jazzy. Funky.
Just sing it for us.
It's
cool. Yeah,
I couldn't sing any of the songs from it, but it enhances the vibe so much. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the right away first impression for the music in this game was like title screen. I booted up and I was like getting ready to record some footage and stuff, so I'm like on the other monitor and I'm just like playing around, and then I'm like, I had the headphones on and I'm listening to it. I'm like, I'm really getting into this. I haven't even started the game yet, and I'm really enjoying this. And it was like it's a nice little, the title screen music is just like a nice little loop and it's like it's fantastic. I really liked it, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to figure out this mystery. I'm ready to like shoot some people, hunt people down, figure out what's going on. Like I'm ready to press play. Let's go. And and from there it just like continued in it, and I really enjoyed it.
Or even like the sort of Zelda-esque, like you discovered a clue sound, like you open a door or something. I love that sound effect. It feels so like almost James Bondy. It's cool.
Yeah, I was totally using that. I was like, yeah, it's kind of like a detective mixed with James Bond and like older kind of music, all like mixed together. That I love it. What else? What can I say? I love this game a lot. I found it so addicting. Had to play through everything. Each of the visionaries are super cool and interesting to learn about. I found that really cool about the way this game is designed and how you can go with the leads like after any one of them in any order you want, and you're just like, do you want to learn more about Wenji and what she's done for this whole facility or this whole island, and what she's done for this like experiment, and how she has all these different clone versions of her, and you have to figure out which one's the right one or kill them all. And I think like that stuff's so cool. I like that in each area there's like a unique way to die, because that's a trophy to die every way possible.
Oh really?
Yeah, so like
That's
Alexis
cool.
has a meat grinder in his party, and in Wenji's area there's like a spot, like it's like main central chamber, where if you have the right code, it can be like turn into a vacuum and have all like air sucked out of it basically. And yeah, there's just like there's a rocket in Up Dam, like in Charlie's like weird space, like you're an invader, like watch out. And there's all these little cardboard cutouts of people and like aliens and stuff like that you can get killed by the rocket there if you choose to. And yeah, there's like a different way to die from everything. Of course, poison in Carl's Bay, and it's just like kind of cool that there's like these unique ways to die and ways to kill people on top of everything else. Yeah.
One more thing I want to touch on. I think just the thing that kind of gets me with the vibe and everything like that kind of ties it together. I think just the idea of the world and the way they execute is really cool, where basically I don't know if I've ever played or watched any sort of time loop media where everybody involved knows it's a time loop, because it makes it really cool where everybody in this game is a fucking psychopath because there's no consequences. Like everyone, you'll just like shoot your best friend, whatever, you know, like we'll wake up tomorrow, we'll all be
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, like you said with the meat grinder thing, like just tossing people meat grinder. I don't know, it's fun, it's whatever. I remember there's one where there's people like, just jump off the cliff, dude, do it, like don't be a pussy. Like a, huge drop, like just jumping to your death, like for fun. Just shit like that where everyone is just completely off their rocker because
even Juliana,
why not? Yeah, totally. Like everyone is totally down with killing everybody, and it just gives it the most bizarre vibe I don't know if I've ever seen in something where it's just it's maniacal. I love it.
The people in this game are totally whack. Like you listen to almost any dialogue and they are messed up. Have you listened at Alexis's party, like just listening to the people going up on like to the mic and just talking, giving their speeches, or maybe supposed to be jokes but they're morbid?
I don't know.
I generally that's where
not too in the stage.
So if you love your invisibility, get in there to like the main like front, like when you first enter, there's like the party in the area, and there's going to be people going one by one up onto the stage talking into the mic, and if they get voted down, you hear like and then the trap door opens, they fall into the meat grinder, and then you hear them like, or they'll say some joke or they'll make some comment and people will applaud them and stuff, and like the stuff they say is pretty messed up, talking about like child slavery or other things that they've done in their lives, and it's just like, oh wow, you guys are really awful people here. Okay, I don't feel so bad about what I'm about to do to all of you.
No, they really do a good job of making you not feel literally any guilt with killing anybody on this island, because for one, you're only like kind of killing them, you know. And then two, they really make you fucking hate everybody on this island, like the visionaries and just every individual person. They all just suck in a way that's so entertaining.
And this isn't a spoiler. But I say it like that because there was a question brought up in the story that made me go like, oh yeah, what if there was a time loop, say on the island I live on right now, you know, and it's just kind of like, you know, why do you want to escape? Or like, you don't know what's going on in the world around you. What if it was, you know, a chunk of land where everybody does know it's a time loop, but it is somehow compressed? You don't know if there's the universe around you and outside of this period. What is happening around? How long have you been in there? How many like, is it millions of years? Is it 10 days? Like, how long has this been going on? And I think that just that thought alone made me go like, what the heck? Like, I've never really thought beyond my own like selfish like life, you know. What is going on beyond there? And I was like, that is just wild to think about. Far out, dude.
Far out. I feel like every time loop game is just a little bit of existentialism in it.
I got a comment
let's talk
on
about the Nintendo Direct, I think. Or you want to keep talking?
Last thing I'll say is I just like that they kept the classic arcane tilt that I'm calling it. I'm making that the name for the health and magic meter. They always have in like all the arcane games that I've played, so Dishonored 2, and Prey, they always got that like health and magic meter on like a tilt in the corner of your screen, and I love that. I don't know why, I just like think that's nice. It's like, oh yeah, this is their thing. Iconic. Yeah. Anyways, we can move on.
Having a signature. Yeah. All right. Nintendo Direct. So a lot of it I don't really give a shit about. Overall, I thought it was I mean, objectively, it was a okay direct. It wasn't that great. It was really fucking memorable for me specifically because of the Mario movie cast thing, and then also announcing a new Yoko Taro game is huge for me. Um, but yeah, kind of the big things I want to jump on. We already talked about two of them.
Yeah,
God, now that I just realized there is 3 Yoko Taro game releases this year. That is fucking nuts. And so yeah, another big one is that N64 and Sega Genesis games are going to be coming to Nintendo Switch Online as sort of a extra fee expansion pack thing. They haven't announced when it's coming out or how much more expensive it's going to be. Nick, what do you think about that?
I think I think Nintendo Online is really cheap, so I don't think the price will be a big deal. I am curious to see how much more it will be though, just because I feel like that just puts a bad taste in my mouth. I don't have Nintendo Online. I've hardly ever touched my Switch, and if like being totally honest, I don't care at all about having the N64 or Genesis games. I am not that Nintendo fan that is like a lot of people out there going, "Holy shit, finally. I'm so glad I got my favorite N64 games on there." For me, I'm like, yeah, I've played a bunch of those already, a ton, because they were my favorites, and I have other ways to play them because I wasn't waiting for this to be able to play my favorite N64 games. And then all that together, I'm like, I don't have a lot of time to play. I don't have enough time to play the new games coming out. Why do I want to go back and play the old ones unless I am playing it with Taylor? Unless I'm playing it with someone that's like a kind of a bit of a new experience, like experiencing it with someone. Hey, check out this game. This is one of my favorites. Like, what do you think of this? You know, I like doing that. Maybe when I have a kid in the future and they're growing up, I'm totally going to want to jump back into every single Zelda game. But right now, the only ones I want to go back to is like Wind Waker, and on occasion I kind of want to play Twilight Princess. But even Breath of the Wild, I don't even want to go back and play these days, just because I did spend, you know, a few hundred hours in those games, or in that game, and I don't really have the desire to explore anymore in that one because I feel like I did explore enough. Whereas if I'm playing a Zelda game, I want to just re-experience the story and I want to redo the dungeons. So that's why I'd go to the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. That's my feeling on it. I don't really care about any of that stuff coming back. I wasn't a Sega kid, so I don't really have anything Sega related. Like, I don't care about Sonic at all. So yeah, it wasn't for me. I'm just curious to see how much more this is going to be. What about you?
Yeah, I similarly, I can use an emulator phone playing 64 games. Genesis, I don't have to reveal attachment to. I think it's fucking crazy that Genesis is on here. I think that is like, if you told that to someone in the 90s, I think their brain would explode.
That's true.
Like the fact that there is a official Nintendo Sega Genesis controller coming out is bizarre. It's insane. But yeah, I don't have a real attachment to it. I can't say I've used I pretty much only ever subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online for Tetris 99. To be totally honest, it's cheap enough to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel similarly to you. I probably want to engage with it, but I am interested to see how much more it costs, because if it's any more than like
$3,
10, if it's any more than like $10 extra a year, it's like,
what?
Is that really worth it? Like, I don't know. Because they're
Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking a month.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because right now it's $20 a year as is, and I think that is a good price because what they're including is a bad online service and some NES and SNES games, which are very nostalgic for a lot of people, but are also very, very old. And to be honest, I think it's very, very old, and you can very easily play them for free via emulation. Legally, I'm not telling you to emulate things because that's illegal and ethically gray, but you know, like it's not high value for a lot of people. So I think $20 is great. I don't think this adds that much more value. I think if you're paying any more than like $30 a year for this whole package, I think it's getting a little bit too much, personally.
I'd be very curious as well. Like, as you're talking, I was just thinking, like, how many people, like, because Nintendo, like, they have they're targeted towards the younger people, but when I say that, I'm thinking younger than me, but they also have like the people that grew up playing Nintendo as well. So that's where you get a bit of like the older folks, right? But I'm curious, like, when it goes to the older games, OG Mario, or even like Super Nintendo, like Super Mario World. I'm curious like about like for like the teenagers these days, or like the people with like less patience, less attention span, and than they had back when I was a kid, because you just knew there was like something's great is coming. Like if I beat this game, or if I go through these annoying levels, I can do this thing later. Whereas nowadays, kids are just like, well, I'm just gonna skip this. Why would I even do this now? I have something else I can do. I'm curious to see like I'd want to know like how many of these kids and how many of these people are actually going back and playing these older games, unless it's for a nostalgic purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I went back. I played a bit of Super Metroid because I'd never played that. I think I started my experience with SNES and my experience of games up until probably like the GameCube. I did play as a kid, so I have some knowledge of that in my lifespan. Shit, I'm only 19, but I have no attachment to any games below that. And yeah, I mean, going back to a lot of these games, I'm sure they were great for the time. There is a lot of very strong game design in them. Just nostalgic for a lot of people. They're old. They're really fucking old. And like old games definitely can be great. Like I'm, a huge Half-Life fan, all that shit. That game's from fucking 1998, I think, and 2004 for Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
That's 20 years old. But man, a lot of these games just don't age well. Like,
yeah.
I
Well,
hate to
also,
say it, Super Metroid is not that fun.
no, it's not. I agree.
It's not that fun. Yeah, if you're nostalgic for it, I can totally understand why you'd want to go back. But yeah, it is rough, and especially when you're getting into N64, like most
that's
if not
a bad
all games on that system were rough.
Yeah, like Ocarina of Time definitely stands out as a good one, but even then, you're like, you can tell it's still like one of the first games it's like the first game having targeting, and like you can tell there's still some rough edges in there. And for me, I'm like, why would I actually tell my friend today at work, I was like, if I wanted to play Ocarina of Time, I just played the 3DS version. Like I don't know why I'd play the OG version on there. Like, give me the 3DS version on the Switch or something. But also I was thinking like really the Super Nintendo, like there's a handful of good games. Like Super Nintendo is a fantastic console. They had some fantastic games on there. But let's say, I'm just going to throw two out, like Super Mario World and Zelda Link to the Past. Both fantastic games. And I'm sure have you played both of them?
I've dabbled in them. Yeah, I haven't beat either one, but
right. But let's say you're someone who really liked them both. Like, cool, you get the service, you play them both. They're both beatable, like within 10 hours each or something like that, depending on what you're doing. Maybe Mario would take a bit longer, right? But Zelda, like I know for me, I've sat down and I've gotten everything, all items, all hearts, and every pieces and whatever in that game in 7 hours, and I've beaten it. And it was just like a day thing. I was like, I just want to play through the game, just go through, beat it in 7 hours, and I was like, nice. That was a good solid time. But that won't make you renew your subscription. So, and the cadence at which they're adding games, it doesn't happen often enough. And so for me, I go, this is what they're doing as like this is some incentive, or even having controllers come out. And don't worry, more games will be added later. I'm expecting maybe 2 games in 6 months to a year. Like how much do you think they're going to do?
I would say probably a year.
Knowing Nintendo, like they're just going to drip feed it. And I just don't know if if they're doing it as a strategy to keep people, like, is that the carrot on the stick? Because if so, I feel like it's only targeting older people with nostalgia, but that's not really going to work for a lot of the younger audience. I don't know. I'm really curious. I just throwing out a bunch of words, but that's just kind of the stuff I think about. Is like, is this going to work? Is there a point in doing this? Why not just sell these things separately on the Switch? Because I feel like that would do just right. Like that would work out fine. Even if they were bundles.
Also, add Earthbound to the SNES library. Jesus, like it's on the SNES Classic. Why is it not there? So many people want to play Earthbound.
Yeah, I'd love to try it.
Nintendo's Nintendo. On a more positive note than that, I would say Kirby and the Forgotten Land got announced, which is I believe Kirby's first full 3D game, right?
I think there was one on the N64.
Was there? Interesting.
I don't know for sure. The friend I was talking to this morning at work about this, he said that there was another one. So I didn't actually look that up. I'm just going off of what he said. Thanks, Dylan, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kirby 64 right now. It looks like it's like not a 3D platform, but is 3D.
Okay,
If it makes sense. Like it's 3D, but it looks 2D.
gotcha.
But yeah, it looks really really cool. I'm not a Kirby guy. Well, I don't usually play Kirby games. I really like Kirby as a concept. Where I really like Kirby's design. I think Kirby lore is fucking batshit insane, and I love it for that. And I think
Kirby's
this
a
looks
god.
really, really cool. I think it looks, yeah, it's Kirby lore is fucking nuts. But I think the game looks beautiful. It looks like gorgeous. And it kind of gives me like Mario Odyssey vibes almost in terms of like how sort of open it is, and also just kind of the similar styles. A lot of those games that came out, in the early Switch days of it's this series, but totally radically different. And I think that's really cool for Kirby, because Kirby's been kind of the same for a long, long, long time at this point.
For me, I had a very different take on that. I saw it and yeah, I thought, oh, this looks like instead of you being Mario and absorbing people's abilities or becoming the creatures, now you're Kirby and you are absorbing them, and like that's just Kirby's thing. But it's like, yeah, it looks like a Kirby Odyssey. And for me, I didn't like Mario Odyssey, so right away I was like, this isn't exciting. And they even had the city in there. It's like, oh, what is this, New Donk City in the Starland now? Like, I don't understand, why do they have to? I don't like cityscapes in games. Like, I just don't like cities in video games. I find it very, I think it's because I like video games for escaping to some fictional world and stuff. And I think, I don't even Deathloop, I felt didn't feel like city. Like, I found like the theme parks and the party and stuff like that, I found that really fun. But I don't, but it's true, like I still like, it's one of my least, it's probably my second least exciting environment that I don't like. So when I saw, I was like, oh, can't I just have Dreamland? Can I just have like the fake like fun trees and clouds? And that's just me, that's just my own style. And so for me, this was very like, oh, okay. Also, the gameplay just looked very much what you'd expect out of Kirby. You jump again, you jump again, you jump again, you suck up somebody, you get their power, and then you use that attack. And so for me, I was like, how long can that be fun? I don't know.
Yeah,
I sound really negative. I'm sorry, guys.
I'll pay $60 for. No, that's very valid. I will probably, this game will probably be $60, and I will not buy it at that price.
Yeah, for the record, Switch games in my land are $90 when you're done, all said and done.
Even worse. I don't think this looks like it's worth $60, but I think it's cool, and I like Kirby in the same way I like Sonic, where I don't really like playing your games, but I respect you and I wish you the best, and I'm glad Kirby, I'm glad he's getting a big.
We agree there.
Very big budget, yeah. I'm happy for the little fella.
What
Also,
about
his voice actor? His voice actor in this game sounds just especially cute. The little noises he makes in the beginning of the trailer.
I don't remember that.
Such a cute little guy.
He's a cute little guy.
What were you about to say?
I was gonna say, what did you think of Mario Party? Does that like ruffle your feathers in any good way?
I mean, I like Mario Party. I'm not going to pay $60 for that, and I know it's not going to be any cheaper than that. But if one of my friends has it, I'd be very happy to play it at their house.
Mm-hmm. That's a game that it's a bunch of the maps from older Mario parties and a bunch of mini games from the older Mario parties I played growing up. So it's got that nostalgia factor, just prettied up, right? And I was like, that's so cool, that's really fun. But I'm not paying $90 for it. I talked to Taylor. That was going to be my like, I'm on the edge. Do I jump or not? I'm like, Taylor, what do you think? Do you want to play some Mario Party? She's like, what's Mario Party again? I kind of told her. She's like, I don't know. I'd rather just play the cards that we have and like other board games that we have. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. And if you're not feeling excited for it, and I'm not super excited for it, we're not spending $90 on it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, no.
But I'm like you. I'd love to play it with someone else.
I think Mario, like if it was like 30, maybe $40, I think I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll jump in. Like, I think it's a game that'll be fun to have, when friends come over. And because I think Mario Party is an awesome party game. I think it's You know, one of those great games where you really can't take it too seriously or too competitively, but it's fun to just kind of like, you know, mess around and get mad at your friends and stuff. But
Yeah.
that kind of game, that sort of like Jackbox tier of like, I will not be playing this when friends aren't over, and friends aren't over much these days.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's like not a ton to get out of it. I'll probably have a lot of fun when friends are over, but you know, it's I'd put it similar to as Jackbox. Jackbox is $25 to $30. And I would say I get more long-term fun out of those games than I do Mario Party personally. Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks cute.
I agree. Zig, I don't think we're gonna have time today for our top 50 games. I think we'll make that an actual episode later on. And we're gonna have some discussions, I think, leading into December, because obviously we're not gonna record the last Friday of December. So we'll figure something out there and have an update for people maybe next month. But
let's just get through like, because we have so many left. We have 19 left, and we have like 3 months left in the year. Let's get through like one. Just for
one. Okay, well, I'll give you one.
All right. I'm just gonna start with mine because I was literally just talking about this game, and that is Jackbox Party Pack. I'm not gonna say which one because they are all. I mean, they're the same fucking thing. And I don't know. Like, I'm even starting to think of like, oh, that specific one's really good. I mean, there's specific games I really like, but I think Jackbox is, I mean, easily the best party game ever made. For me. I've had more fun with that than any other party game that I've owned. And it's just, I don't know, it's just the perfect party game because it's the kind of thing where anybody, like even people who don't play video games, can have a lot of fun with that game, where you just pick it up on your phone, you enter your room, like again, all just through your phone, you do everything through there, and it uses, you know, the game on your Switch or whatever to do it, but most of the fun you're having isn't in the game, it's just with the people around you. But it does such a good job of facilitating fun between you and your friends, and I think the big part is it is open enough to kind of let the tone of the humor be whatever it just naturally is in the group you're in, where like I think a lot of games like party games, card games, stuff kind of lean too far into a certain kind of humor. Like Cards Against Humanity is a good example. That game is fun the first time you play it, like the card game, and then every time after, hearing like a poop or a sex joke for the millionth time is like, oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
but it's like it just really loses its charm. But when it's so like the sense of humor is just so directed by the people playing it, I think it's awesome. Where, you know, every different friend group I've played it in, it's a totally different experience. Sometimes it's, you know, completely nonsensical, and other times it is like you'll be playing the rap battle mini game, and people are actually coming up with like good rhymes and stuff like that, and that's always entertaining. It's an awesome party game.
that's what I hear from a lot of people. I've just never had the group to do it with, you know.
Fair.
Because anytime I brought it up or tried playing, because like I have a couple of them, I don't know which ones, and I've like brought it up to play, everyone always just ends up like, let's just play the board game that we have right here, let's just do that. So then we end up playing something else. But I've always been interested and wanted to play that with some people. My number 19 game is BioShock 2, and I don't want to. It's actually perfect for right now because I don't want to take up a ton of time anyway. But I don't want to speak too much to this because a lot of what I would say about this game I would put with BioShock, which is higher up on my list. It is not the next one, but you know, it is higher up on my list. And I really like BioShock as a franchise. But yeah, BioShock 2. This game just kind of took what was great in the first game, but lost the great story and instead had a different story, which was fine. But it made the combat better, and I really enjoyed being able to go back through Rapture. I think it's like 10 years later, and seeing the city more falling apart. You know, there's more leaks. You got more water.
Yeah.
It's BioShock, but more wet. And, you know, you just gotta go through there and save children. So, you know, it's a game that made me feel like I was protecting all the little sisters more so than the first game. I thought that they did that really well, when you're like you're hunting for Eleanor, the little sister that's bonded to your character, and because you are apart, you will die, so you need to find her to stay alive. But there's also that bond of just like, you've taken care of her for so long, now she's like a teenager and she's older, and you're basically like a father figure, right? And it is that cool. Like I like that they kind of dive into that father figure kind of emotional tie to these people, and then saying at the same time how much the city has fallen apart, and then also taking the themes that were in BioShock 1 being all about yourself and focusing on just yourself and what you can do for yourself and the great chain and whatever, and then BioShock 2 going, no, it's altruism, it's about everyone working together for one goal, and it's like the total opposite, but also how it can be messed up in that way. And I thought that was really, really cool. And there's some fun audio logs. Like one that stands out to me that I'll just mention right now is this one from this little boy Billy, and listening to him and his little like, hello, my name is Billy, and like him talking like this, and he's writing a letter to this little sister girl, like, I've seen your dad and he's really big and scary, but I think you're pretty and I love your glowing eyes, or something like that. And then he's like leaving, he's like, I will leave a rose for you, and like anyways, you find this rose and it's like by a dead big daddy, so like the girl's big daddy like got killed or whatever, and I'm like, oh, but it's like this sad but like fun little story, and it's just like, it's cute. And then he's like telling her like the code to the door, so that's how you find out. And I just like that's one audio log that I really like, so I still feel like they kept that going in the second game. That's like cool. The first one. And also the weird website that they had leading up to this game coming out was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced when I was growing up in video games. Did you ever hear about the like, what do they call that when it's like kind of like
an ARG type thing?
Yeah, where like they had this website called there's something in the sea.com, and it's not around anymore, but you can watch a website,
yeah, I have heard
or
that.
You can watch videos on it where someone will go through and like they have it archived on YouTube and stuff, but it's really nice. But you're following this guy, Mark Meltzer, and he has his daughter stolen, and then every day you would go to this website and there'd be a new document or a new page up on his board, and you're in his office seeing like all these notes and things he's putting up, like, oh, there was a piece of a newspaper written, ripped off, and you click on it and it goes up on your screen, and you're like, oh yeah, there's people are seeing glowing lights coming out of the water and then stealing children, and it turns out it's one of the big sisters, right? And then you're like, he's like putting the pieces together. He has like puzzle boxes and stuff from Rapture. He has like a record, and if you play the record on the record player, it's just doing their Rapture anthem, but then it scratches out, and then you hear a little sister in her creepy demonic voice being like, Daddy, are you gonna come and find me, or something like that. So he's like, oh shit, it's my sister, my daughter, or whatever. And he eventually gets to Rapture, and you find an audio logs from him in BioShock 2, and you get to find out his fate and what happens to him, and it's quite sad. So I won't spoil it for people that haven't seen that, but it's actually really fantastic, and I think it was so cool being one of the few people who got to experience that while it was happening. And you just never get to experience something like that again now that the website's gone, right?
Yeah, being a part of an ARG like that is it's such a different experience. It's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. So out of the 3 BioShocks, my question for you, which one do you think is the most fun? Like, disregarding the story and all that, which one do you enjoy playing the most?
I enjoy playing the first one the most, but it's because I like, regardless of like mechanics, because I still think that shooting and using powers in the second one plays better. I have more fun playing the first one because I don't find like going from this hand, swapping, and then you're using this hand. I don't find it that much of a pain. I like playing the first one more than any of them because of the level designs and the world, and the way the levels feel lived in, and I do find the world and the environments. I love going through the dental area and medical pavilion. I love seeing like, oh, this is where people got their teeth worked on, and doing it, checking all those things out. Arcadia, and like experiencing like the rolling hills in Arcadia, and like, this is so nice. This is the grassy fields and the trees, and this is where people get their oxygen from, and you got the bench there, and something about that first game I just really like it. The second game, a lot of areas just feel and look kind of the same for me, and I found found that to be kind of boring, and I'm just not a fan of the City in the Sky Columbia. I found it kind of uninteresting to look at. I do like that little bit of sense of like I'm not supposed to be here feeling, and I got that more with Rapture than Columbia too.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, probably just
Yeah.
about end it there, right?
Yeah. So let's just quickly just say our game club game for October will be Back for Blood. So if you're interested in playing that game along with us, play it, try it out. And then you can let us know on our next episode's comments and just tell us how wrong we are with our opinions. Because we're going to be playing that as our main game club game next month. And this month it was Deathloop, and that's why this episode's all about that. We'll see if next episode is primarily about Back for Blood. I'm assuming not, but we will definitely be talking about it for a good chunk. So yeah, until then, Zig, do you have anything you want to plug before we end this?
Yeah, as I said a little bit earlier, the next Vertical Slice episode on Quantum League, which is a time loop competitive first-person shooter, is coming out around when this episode should go live. So you can go check that out. I think that's about it.
Awesome. Well, I'll just say if you're interested in watching me play through all the Souls games, other than Demon Souls, I will be continuing to play through Dark Souls 1 I'm on right now on Twitch, and you can check that out, twitch.tv/Nicolobe. And until next time, I'll see y'all on this show. Bye.